Why not wait for a few more people to join?
Isn't the link you sent on the group? It says the user has removed the video. I don't know why. Okay. It's the one you sent latest, right? Okay, yes, it seems to be okay.
Have you shared that link with me as well? Um,
The YouTube link, wait, I don't know.
mm, Seems like you have joined from two systems, Madhu, so that's why probably there is the echo.
It's Rihanna's.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
We'll just wait for 5 minutes for more people to join in. Um, okay, so I guess we'll start. We have enough participants now. So we'll be starting the webinar. So hello everyone, my name is Madhur Nohar and I'm the PR manager for IVSA Mumbai for this term. And I'm a fourth year veterinary student from Mumbai Veterinary College. And we extend a warm welcome to all of you for today's webinar that sheds light on the extension of vultures and their conservation.
A very good evening to all my fellow IVSA members. My name is Brunmay Bhalira from IVSA Mumbai. To get you acquainted with our organization, IVSA Mumbai is the local chapter of Mumbai Veterinary College. It is under the parent organization International Veterinary Students Association Global, which was established in 1951. Having its foot in 73 countries with 38,529 members and counting, IVS's sole mission is to harness the potential and dedication of veterinary students to promote the international application of veterinary skills in education. It proudly stands as the world's largest association of undergraduate veterinary students.
I would also like to remind the new batch that has just been recently admitted into college that our membership forms are open and we're accepting new members. And if you want to be a part of such wonderful and educative events in the future, you should definitely join IVSA because some of them are held exclusively only for our members. And the deadline is 3rd of February, and we can't wait for you to join the IVSA.
I would now like to introduce the speaker for this webinar and our beloved ex-poultry professor. Dr. Percy Avari is a veterinarian with a PhD in poultry science. A conservationist at heart, he has been working for vulture conservation since 2005. He was a part of the team for the 3-stage safety testing of meloxicam and vulture and other scavenging birds. He has also been a part of the teams for rescue, trapping, relocation, health checkup, and management of vultures in captivity. Dr. Percy has been working towards the spread of awareness about vultures at multiple forums, conferences, and events. He is knowledgeable about vulture biology and the steps that need to be taken for their conservation. He has authored multiple articles in English and Marathi about the same. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good evening to everyone. Yeah, is there someone who wants to say something? Oh, sorry, I thought that there was. Yeah, fine. So, good evening, and thank you, Mumbai Veterinary College and IVSA for giving me this opportunity to, interact with all of y'all. So, I'm really happy to be here online, and hopefully, I'll see you all on the 25th as well. Fingers crossed. Okay, so shall we start with the presentation? It's already 6:13, so.
So just 1 second.
Yeah.
We're very happy to have you here, and you thank you for the prizes event. And since we also have the entire streaming on YouTube, there'll be a Q session after the webinar, after prize announcement. So if you have any doubts, you can just put them in the chat box either here or on YouTube, and we'll be answering them later. So.
Yeah.
There seems to be some issue with her net. Basically, she just said we'll be taking question and answers in the end. So you have to put your questions in the chat box here or in the YouTube live that is going on. And so we would like now to hand this over to you so you can continue.
Okay, thank you so much. So the thing is that I'm based out of a rural area over here in Bangalore. So the internet might be a little bit dicey. So if at all it is, then do let me know. You can call me up. That's not a problem. If required, I will try and ensure that there are no hiccups. But if the electricity does not cooperate, then I already just would like to put it out there that is what is needed from to let me know. Okay, fine. So moving on, I will not be able to see the questions and things that are coming up. So if that is the case, anyone can interrupt me if there are any questions or queries in between. Also, I am happy to address those. So what we have been doing is we have been looking at vulture conservation through education and awareness, and veterinarians and especially budding veterinarians is what are the crowd or the audience that we are looking at targeting. So this is a wonderful opportunity for us to be here. So this is a joint presentation made by me and my friend and senior Dr. Kazmi Umbrigar as well. Okay. So before I would like to start off with the presentation, this is a warning that I give to all the audience present that this person may talk about vultures at any given moment continuously and for many hours. So if you feel bored or something like that, you are free to let me know, and I will wind it up as soon as I can. Okay. So what we are going to talk about today is we are going to talk about what is a vulture, the feeding habits of a vulture, the adaptations of vultures as scavengers, and the reproduction, the economical importance, the ecological importance, and also the economic importance as well. So if we look at vultures, just to give you a brief introduction. So when we look at vultures, the vultures are basically belonging to a group of birds that are called as raptors. So the term raptor comes from the rapacious way that they feed on. So they feed in a frenzy, they feed in a very rapacious way. So it does not always look very neat and clean, or it does not always look even aesthetic. Some people might get put off by the way the vultures eat and the raptors eat, but that is the way it is. And they belong to the group or the family of birds called as the Axidae. They are large-bodied birds. So vultures weigh somewhere between 5 to 10 kilograms. Okay, even more sometimes. They are long-lived birds, so they have been known to live up to 37 years in captivity. They are on top of the food chain and an integral part of the ecosystem. We shall be talking about that very soon. They breed once a year and lay only one egg. So this is very, very important. Many people, even veterinarians, are taught only poultry science, and then we are taught about how layer chickens are laying 320 eggs in a year, and how breeders are producing 125 layer chicks every year and 165 broiler chicks every year, so on and so forth. So we also have this notion that we look at some nests of other birds and we see 3-4 eggs at a time, but that is not the case with vultures. With vultures, they lay only one egg a year. There are 9 species of vultures found in India, and we shall be just going through that as well. So these are the 9 types of Indian vultures or vultures that are found in India. So we have the Oriental white-backed vulture or the white-rumped vulture, that is Chips bengalensis, the long-billed vulture, that is Chips indicus. Then we have the slender-billed vulture. So let's go on like this. So this is the white-backed or white-rumped vulture. On the left-hand side, I don't know if you are able to see the cursor or not, but the vulture that we see on the left-hand side of the screen, that is a adult vulture, whereas the one on the right is juvenile or sub-adult vulture. Okay, then you have the long-billed vulture, that is Chips indicus. Then we have the slender-billed vulture. So if you look at the slender-billed vulture, just to throw some light over here, the slender-billed vulture was considered as a part or a subspecies of the long-billed vulture for a very long period of time. And in the year 2000, there was study conducted, genetic study conducted by Pamela Rasmussen, and she proved that they are genetically different from the Gyps indicus. They also nest on trees, whereas the long-billed vultures nest on cliffs. The slender-billed vultures are found north of the Gangetic Plain. Excuse me, sorry about that. The slender-billed vultures are found north of the Gangetic Plain, whereas the long-billed vultures are predominantly found south of the Gangetic Plain. Okay, so there are multiple differences and things. If I keep on talking about the morphological differences, maybe I'll spend an hour over here only. So won't go into that detail, right? Then we have the visitors, the winter visitors, the Himalayan griffon, the Eurasian griffon. So all these 5 species which we spoke of or we saw are the gyp species of vultures which we call as obligate scavengers. So maybe a minute on obligate scavengers. So these scavengers or these vultures have an obligation to scavenge. So they will scavenge and only scavenge. They will not consume or they will not kill any live animal for their sustenance. They are known to go for period days together, but they have never been seen to hunt any animal or bird or any living organism. Okay. Then we have the cinereous vulture, and the bearded vulture, a very beautiful bird found in the Alps and the Himalayas. Okay, just to throw some light over here, with the bearded vulture, what you can see over here in the bottom right photograph is that they are, so this cinereous vulture, the bearded vulture, the king vulture, all these vultures are hard tissue feeders. So they feed on the skin, the tendons, the ligaments, so on and so forth. Whatever is left behind by the soft tissue feeders, that is the gyp species, these birds will consume. And these birds are known to consume even bones and parts of bones. So they will take up large bones, they will fly high, and they will drop these bones onto the rocks. When they get split open, they will eat the marrow and also the bones as such. And it is recorded or mentioned that the bone is so long that there is a part of the bone which is inside the stomach of the bird, and there is a part which is outside the mouth also, and it is said that the bone that is present in the stomach has already started digesting. So that is the kind of a thing that happens with these birds. The Egyptian vulture, also called as the Pharaoh's chicken. So one of the first birds to have been recorded to make use of tools. So what you see over here is an Egyptian vulture using a rock to break open an ostrich egg. So an ostrich egg is has very high shell thickness, somewhere around 3 mm or so, or more probably, I don't know. But the point is that if any one of us would step on an ostrich egg and stand on it, it will not break. But this small bird breaks open an ostrich egg by repeatedly picking up a stone and hitting it at the same point and in taking the contents. This bird is also known for consumption or utilization of the mammalian feces for its sustenance. So a wonderful cleaner of the environment. Then you have the king vulture, the Sarcogyps calvus. Okay, so this is again a soft tissue feeder that you will find. Then this is a California condor, another iconic species which belongs to the New World vultures. So phylogenetically, if you see, these birds are closer to the storks, but because of their looks and their feeding habits, they are considered as vultures. Okay, so if you see the feet of these birds, they appear gray in color. So this is a typical stork behavior. So what they do is they defecate on their feet, so to allow evaporative cooling, and that helps in the cooling down of the body of the bird. So these birds also exhibit that kind of a thing. And California condors are iconic also because there were hardly 25 individuals left on the planet in 1970s or so. And then there was a revival project, and that helped in increasing the number of these birds to over 300, and they were released back into the wild. Okay, so so far so good. Any doubts, any queries? Am I going too fast, too slow? Any feedback from the team? It would be great.
So it's perfect.
No, sir, your case is perfect.
Okay. Okay. So can you still see the slide? I think it is a little bit larger now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We can say it.
So yeah, great. So we have, in India, we have been born and brought up with the story of Mowgli and the vultures over there, and this is the kind of a thing that we always imagine, that vultures are waiting for the predators to eat their fill, and then they will pounce on it and feed. So that is a myth. Hardly 5 to maybe 6 or 7, or maybe not more than 10% of the food that the vultures consume will come from the predation of other larger carnivores. So the reason for that is that if a lion or a tiger or a leopard has made a kill, the animal has spent. So for tigers, it is estimated that 1 out of 20 kills is successful. Okay, so if the tiger has made the kill after such a long time, it is not going to let it go. So to digress from here, there was a story of a tiger called Charger. I don't know if you are aware of that or not. So he had made a kill near a lake, and during dusk hours, and the crocodiles dragged the kill into the middle of the lake, and he was not very happy about it, as can be understood. So apparently, he sat at the edge of the lake throughout the night and kept on roaring. And then in the morning, he had enough. He swam inside along with the crocodiles and got the carcass of that sambar deer back out. It was heavier than what he had killed because it was of the water and other things. And he did that. So you can imagine that if a tiger is, not allowing even crocodiles, or taking a risk of going in between crocodiles and getting its kill out, then they are not going to share the kill with vultures. So why these group of vultures are here? Because the predator is a cheetah, so they will be able to overpower the cheetah fairly easily, probably, and that is why they are looking at it. This is the way they will feed on it. So an estimate is that a group of 70 vultures will reduce down a cow carcass, which weighs around 400 to 500 kilograms, in and only bones will be left in a matter of 15 minutes. So they are very, very precision eaters, and predominantly their source of food is coming from the animals that have died a natural or a diseased or whatever death. Okay. So this is the way they will eat. They are soft tissue feeders. So they cannot enter into they cannot cut the skin. So you can see that they will enter into the body or the body cavity through the natural orifices like the mouth, the anus, or over here you can see that it is trying to eat the eyeball. Okay, so this is what it will be, and this is what it will look like after the vultures are through eating the carcass. All right. So they are soft tissue feeders, so they will feed on the muscles, the visceral organs, so on and so forth. They also have an adaptation. So adaptation we will talk about soon, but you can see the beak. You can also see the supraorbital kind of a ridge that is present. They have a snake-like head is what it is called, and they have a naked head and neck. Okay, their beak is very sharp. Trust me, I have been nicked by a vulture while handling it a long time ago. So it is pretty sharp for sure. Okay, there is no hierarchy as such. That means that there is no pecking order, if you can understand that term. So the vultures which are hungrier will ensure that they eat first, as compared to the vultures which are not hungry, and then the vultures which are not eating, they will displace the vultures which have already eaten and start eating after them. So that is the kind of thing that will happen. Okay. Okay, there will be a little bit of fighting here and there at the time of feeding as well. Yeah, and what happens is that, as I mentioned, smaller carnivores, they are able to displace because of their sheer numbers. But if the carnivore is bigger or the number of carnivores is more, like a pack of hyenas or something like that, that you will find in Africa. We don't have hyenas moving around in groups in India. We have solitary animals, the hyenas, the striped hyena. So that kind of thing will happen. Okay. So I want you to see the picture on the left. Can you see the crop? Can anyone just unmute themselves and just say yes, no, something? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this crop is filled with is gorged with the meat. So as I said, these birds can actually eat 1/3 of their body weight. So 4.5 or 5 kilo Gyps bengalensis or Indicus or Tenurostris vulture will be able to eat 1.5 kgs of meat at a time. So it's like a 60 kilogram individual, a human being eating 20 kilograms of biryani at one go. Okay, so that is the kind of thing that happens, and that is an adaptation of these birds because they don't know when the next meal is going to come from. And this meal that you can see that is present on the crop, this will be utilized for the next 72 hours. So slowly it will go into the stomach and it will be digested. And the vultures have been known to go without a meal for a period of, I think, 19 to 20 days without losing an ounce of weight. So their body structure, their metabolism is a very, very important, crucial, and it's a wonderful adaptation for them to sustain this kind of lifestyle of scavenging. The picture on the right has someone put up a question or something?
No, someone's raising their hands. The question answer session is going to be at the end. So if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat box and we'll answer them later.
Yeah, if that is acceptable, it would be
Yes,
very
you can continue.
helpful. Yeah, yeah. So if you see the vultures on the right, so it is known that people consider that vultures are very dirty birds and smelly birds. They eat carrion, they eat dead and decaying animals. So again, that is a myth. So they will eat dead animals for sure. But if given a choice between a dead animal which is fresh as compared to a decaying, they will definitely go for a fresh carcass rather than a decaying carcass. Okay, and they are known to wash up, especially the head and neck. They have a bath after having food, and then they will fly off to their perches or roosting areas. Okay, so after having a bath, this is what they will do. This is a thing which is also called as, so they will, it's not that they will have bath only after eating. They can have bath even without eating. And after having a bath, this is what they do. This is similar to basking in reptiles. This is what we call as sunning behavior. They spread their wings and they dry up their feathers accordingly. Yeah, right. And you can also observe the white back over here of the vulture. So that is why it is called as a white-backed vulture, even though the whole vulture appears to be black in color. Right. So adaptations. So if you see so already I've spoken about the beak, the head, and the neck. So I will not talk about that much. I would like to take your bring your attention to the feet of the birds. So if you see raptors, predominantly they have their feet in this shape. Okay, and they are called as talons, and they are very, very strong. So even if you have an owlet in your hand and the owlet grips the webbing of your skin between the thumb and the index finger, it is quite painful, and it is very difficult for it, to disengage it. I know that because that has happened to me. But compared to that, if you look at vultures' feet are called as feet. they are adapted for walking, and they will use those legs to sometimes hold the carcass and pull across. That's the only thing that they will do, right? So this photograph from National Geographic signifies the adaptation of the head, naked head and neck, and the strong beak. So you can see the beak is utilized for cutting, biting. The tongue also is like a rasp, so it has projections so that the intestine, the soft tissue that the vulture is feeding on, does not fall out of its mouth. So it is taken inside. So it has a rasp-like tongue as well. Okay, so it looks like a ferocious look. So that supraorbital ridge that you see will give the vulture a ferocious look to a certain extent. They are not very ferocious birds unless and until threatened. Like any animal, even a tiger will not, attack or retaliate most of the times unless it is threatened. But I think this is one adaptation that, and this ridge also comes or becomes more prominent as the vulture ages. So in the juvenile vultures, you will not find that ridge to be so prominent, as you can see over here. So it is not as prominent, right, as you are able to see it over here. So it is probably to protect the eye when the vulture enters into the body cavity of the animal or something like that. Okay. Then taking off also is a pain for them. They have lost their ability to do acrobatic maneuvers. So many of the birds, falcons, eagles, they have wonderful acrobatic maneuvers that they do. The peregrine falcon is one of the fastest birds on the planet in the air. Okay, it will come out of nowhere and just kill the pigeon or the prey. These birds have lost all that adaptation. Okay, so they look very clumsy, especially when they are on the ground. But trust me, when they are flying, it is brilliant to watch. It is poetry in motion. Okay, and I have had the good fortune of paragliding, and the vultures were soaring at the same time. Unfortunately, I did not have a camera with me at that moment, but it is amazing to watch them soar. They are masters of the sky. They fly. They can fly to conserve energy. They fly without flap flying, that is, without flapping their wings. They can fly for hours together. So what they do is they use the thermals of the air to rise, and they will leave a thermal, glide into another thermal, and then again gain elevation and do that. So they don't spend a lot of energy in flying as well. One more unique fact about these vultures is that in Africa, during the breeding season, they have been known to travel a distance of 160-kilometer radius in one day in search of food. Okay, so they flew to and fro to get the food for their young ones. So this is the white-backed vulture, how it appears when it is in flight. Then they will, like an aeroplane, they will, so an aeroplane while landing, lowers down the tires. So similarly, the wheels, similarly, the vultures also use their tails, their wings to maneuver and come down. This is how it will come down onto the ground, right? So adaptations continuing, snake-like head. We said this is a posture which is a threatening posture to a certain extent to another vulture probably. Then breeding. So when we look at breeding, so generally the birds attain sexual maturity at the age of 6 to 7 years. So it's a very long process. So for the first 6 years, the birds will not be able to breed at all. It has been found that this gyps species of vultures mate for life. They pair for life. Okay, so they will be there together. So one of the birds we had captured in Pinjore was from one breeding pair in the wild. So we captured either the male or the female, and the other partner would actually come and sit on the aviary that the bird was kept in until we tried to capture it, and then it flew away and never came back. But that is the kind of commitment that they have. They are monogamous. They pair for life. You can see the vultures here. These are the long-billed vultures that will be uh, breeding nesting on cliffs. Whereas, so again, the long-billed vulture on the left, and you can see the white-back vulture on the right. So they have a typical breeding season. So they will start nest building somewhere around in the month of September. Courtship will start in August, September. Nest building will start in September, and then they will probably lay an egg in the month of November. The egg will hatch 2 months later. So by January or so, it will hatch. And so the incubation period is nearly 56 to 60 days. And then the fledging. The fledging is when the bird leaves the nest, when the young one leaves the nest, that is called as fledging. So that after incubation, it happens after 105 days. So if you consider 60 days of incubation and 105 days of fledging, the birds are taking care of the young one for a period of nearly half a year. For 6 months, the young one or the egg and the egg and the young one are taken care of at that point of time. Okay, so that is what is the commitment, and both the males and females take part in incubation and also in the care of the young one. So one member will be there present at the nest, whereas the other member will go out. They will not bring meat in their feet. They will always bring the meat in the crop, and they will regurgitate it, like you might have seen a documentary on wild dogs of South Africa or in Africa, or wild dogs in India also. They bring the meat and then they regurgitate it for the young ones to eat. So that is the way they will do. So this is how the young one looks like, right? So this is about the biology of the bird, the adaptations that they have. There are a lot of more things that we can discuss, but we don't have the time for that. But I hope that this gives you a great idea or a fairly large picture about it. So ecological importance when we talk of. So these birds are very, very important ecologically because they are the cleaners of the environment. So they clean the environment, they make sure that nothing is available. So to give you an idea, even anthrax, they are able to digest anthrax. So brucellosis, anthrax, any outbreak that has happened, the birds will eat that and they will not get affected by it. Clostridium organisms are normal commensals that are found in the gut of these animals, these birds, and they don't get bothered by it at all. So, and they clean it up as soon as it happens, nearly. So it's very quick. So nothing is spread. The diseases aren't spread. I'm a man of poultry, and whenever we talk about development and all of those things, and whenever we talk about conservation, we always, consider that, that's fine, but there is a lot of economics involved in conservation of vultures or conservation of the planet or conservation of RA colony or whatever. So what we have tried to do over here is that we have tried to look at the economical importance that is available with the presence of vultures. So number one is human health. So why human health? So India is number one leader in milk production, I guess. Right? We have the largest population of cattle. Similarly, what happens is that we are also the number one in human rabies cases because of dogs. Now, I have nothing against dogs, okay, but any success is going to be a. So, what happens is then means why are we looking at rabies cases and attributing it to the vultures? So, when it was found, uh, when the vultures were present in large numbers, what happened was that the scientists would also count the number of dogs at the carcass dumps. So, what is a carcass dump? So, whenever cow gets dies, cow or buffalo, there is a community of people. They will strip off the hide and they will sell it to the leather industry, and they will take the rest of the carcass and they will go and dump it outside the premises of the village. So that is what is called as a carcass dump, and these carcass dumps were like vulture restaurants for a long period of time in India and in the Indian subcontinent. Okay, so that's why we had huge number of vultures. So coming back to the point, so at that time when vultures were more in number, the scientists had counted 60 dogs. And when the vultures were declined, when they counted the number of dogs, it was 1,200. So you can imagine the amount of multiplication of the dogs just by the absence of vultures. Now, why did this happen? This happened not because the vultures were eating the dogs or something like that, but food was not available for the dogs. Now, surplus food is available to the dogs. We know that the dogs have a litter of 5, 6, 7 pups. All of those are not going to survive because there are challenges. Food is a constraint and everything is that. And that is the reason why they have 6, 7 pups. Similarly, if you look at sea turtles, they will come and lay 300 eggs. The reason why they lay 300 eggs is that maybe if they are lucky, one of them will become an adult and come back to breed and lay the egg over here in the on the beach. So that is a cycle of nature, and that is what happens. So because of that, rabies cases are also huge, and it has been estimated that around $15 billion are spent on treatment of those rabies cases. So if you look at the economic importance of vultures, you can imagine that we can control rabies by controlling the dog population or preventing the dog population from expanding by not having excess food sources for them. Then there is cost to industry. So earlier when the vultures would strip off the carcass of meat, the bones would be clean, and that those would be collected by the bone collectors, not Denzel Washington movie bone collector, but actually the people who would collect these bones and sell them to the gum manufacturing industry, and they would get quite a sizable amount of money because of that. So they would get maybe 5 or 8 rupees a kilo of bones that they collected. That is a problem. Then there is a cost of disposal. So now if vultures are not available, it is going to become difficult for us to leave the carcasses in the environment. So that becomes a problem. Recreation. In Africa, there are actually vulture restaurants that have been created wherein people pay to sit and watch the vultures feed. So it's a thing of recreation for them. Again, a source of income for conservation, cultural or religious values. So we know that the story of Jatayu sacrificing his life to protect Sita Devi. Zoroastrians have the use of vultures Tibetan monks have the use of vultures in their last rites. Okay, and then there are several other environmental impacts that happen because of that. So this is about cultural importance. This is a depiction of Ravan or Lord Ravan killing Jatayu because Jatayu was trying to, protect or prevent him from abducting Sita Devi. And this is on the right hand side top. You can see in Tibet they actually feed the corpses to the vultures, and in the Zoroastrian community also they have these towers of silence as coined by Mark Twain, I think. Yeah. So the the corpses are brought in and placed on the platforms, and then the vultures come and they feed on those corpses, and that is how it happens. So in Zoroastrian culture, vultures are not an integral part or a essential part of the process, but they would definitely accelerate the process as catalysts. If people have queries about this, you can ask me later. I will not spend more time over here talking about it. Okay, but if you wish to know more about it, you can definitely ask me in the question and answer session. I hope we are going in time. There are quite a few slides remaining, but I'll just go through them very quickly. So these are the three vanishing gyp species that are there: critically endangered whiteback, long-billed, and slender-billed vulture. Okay, and these are the other affected species: Himalayan griffon, Egyptian griffon, and the king vulture. So king is critically endangered, Egyptian is endangered, and Himalayan griffon is nearly threatened. So the alarming facts. So 90% of all vultures in Africa and 99% of all vultures in the Indian subcontinent belong to the gyp species. The decline in gyp's population was first reported by Dr. Prakash and Keola Deol National Park. If you have, so he has been awarded by Sanctuary magazine as well. So I don't know if you have a copy of that. If you don't, IBSA members, please reach out to me. I will share that to you on WhatsApp and you can circulate it. A very good article about Meet Dr. Prakash. Okay, so he started shouting in the year 1999, and what had happened was that he was monitoring the vultures in Keola Deva National Park, Bharatpur Bird Sanctuary, and 735 pairs of vultures were available, and then suddenly there were none. The decline in the Gyps bengalensis was to the tune of 99.9% and 96.87% in Gyps indicus species, that is the long-billed, and status of the gyp species, especially the whiteback vultures, went from common in 1996 to critically endangered in 2000. So just in a matter of 4 years, the bird became critically endangered. Earlier it was considered common. So just an anecdote over here. I'm sorry if I'm boring you with stories, but earlier when the what biologists used to go and take the census of these birds, they would not count the birds if they saw less than 5 in number in a group somewhere. So if they saw say 2 or 3 or 4 vultures even, they would not count them. They were so common. Okay, and this is how common they were. So this is a picture taken by Dr. Gautam Narayan. So this is in Delhi. So this is near a carcass dump, or I think a tannery actually. So you can see the vultures sitting on the buildings as well, right? Not even a sparrow can sit on top, and you can see so many vultures over here on the floor. So this was the amount of vultures that we had. Okay, and this is what happened. If you can see the picture in the background also, you can see the vultures. That is again by Dr. Gautam Narayan. That is the scenario. And if you see the vultures in 1992, there were 10 lakh vultures. In 2003, there were hardly 75,500. And I have a report over here that estimates the population of oriental whiteback vultures to be 6,000 currently, long-billed vultures to be 30,000, slender-billed vultures to be somewhere around 1,200. Okay, so from 10 lakh vultures, we are left with some thousands of vultures, not even 20,000 vultures or 50,000 vultures are remaining. So that is the kind of decline that has happened. Okay, so the original causes of suspected causes of the decline were, people thought that loss of nesting habitat, infectious diseases, general environment contamination, deliberate poisoning of carnivores leading to secondary poisoning in vultures. So many a times what happens is that if a predator kills a cow or a goat and there is some amount of cow or goat left behind, then the farmers will poison that in the hope that the animal will come and eat it and die, but the vultures come and they die. So it was thought that that could be happening. Low food availability, exploitation and persecution, effects of transportation, infrastructure and recreation. Okay, so none of those things actually mattered. What mattered was the use of veterinary drugs. So in the PM findings, what you will see is, you can see gout. So this is the first arrow on the left is showing the gout in the heart. So the heart looks like what my friend called as a snowball. Okay. And then the next arrow that you can see is pointing to the liver. So the liver also has uric acid depositions. I'm not going to go into the details of how gout occurs. I'm sure you will be learning it in poultry as well. If you still have doubts, you can, talk to me about it. So the idea was that Dr. Lindsay Oakes, he was working with WWF Pakistan. So he belonged to Peregrine Foundation. He was working with WWF Pakistan. And during that time, what he did was he saw that this was the PM finding that was happening. And he suspected that there is something that is entering into the system of the birds, which is causing kidney failure. So he looked at the number of veterinary drugs that were commonly used in Pakistan. And then he noticed that there were few that were causing or are known to cause kidney damage. So the predominant drug was diclofenac sodium. Okay. And looking at that, he injected diclofenac sodium into unreleasable birds. That means birds which had injury on the wing or the leg and they could not be released back into the wild. So those birds were injected with diclofenac sodium and they died because of gout. So it was proven that diclofenac kills these birds due to kidney failure. Okay. So consequences. So extinction of a wonderfully useful species. Number one, spread of diseases. As I said, economic importance and all those things. Economics is important. Spread of diseases like anthrax, TB, groundwater safety, increase in number of feral dogs, 60 to 1,200 in Rajasthan. And now what we are seeing is that, increasing the risk of rabies, canine distemper, canine parvo. And we always thought that canine distemper will only be happening in canines, only in dogs. But now we are seeing that canine distemper has also been isolated and found in leopards, lions, and tigers. So that becomes a problem. And then economics of the whole thing, which I have already explained. So what are the revival efforts that are to be taken for this? So this committee sat down together in the year 2000, 2003, I believe. And they came up with these 4 measures that needed to be taken. So number one was banning the veterinary use of diclofenac, then identifying and promoting the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs that are safe for vultures, then captive breeding of future reintroduction of these birds, and to create a diclofenac-free habitat for the vultures. Okay, so these are the 4 survival measures that were taken into consideration. So So the identification and promoting the NACIDs, I worked with that project. So we did 3 trials in India. Number 1, we gave meloxicam directly to the vultures by gavage at the rate of 0.5 milligram to 2.5 milligram per kilogram body weight. They were fine. We gave meloxicam by gavage to other birds also to make sure that, today vultures are dying. Tomorrow, other scavengers should not die out. So to ensure that the meloxicam drug is safe for vultures, we did that also. And then we injected meloxicam into buffalo cows. Then we slaughtered them after 5 days of injection at 8-hourly intervals. And then the liver, kidney, and the muscle were fed to the vultures. And we found that they also survived. Okay, so that is how we came to the conclusion that meloxicam is safe. And why meloxicam was identified is that a survey was conducted of more than 250 veterinarians, avian veterinarians, all over the planet. And in that survey, it was found that more than 700 birds, 700 species rather, did not show any no toxicity was seen in any of those birds because of meloxicam. So that is how we kind of zeroed in on this and did it. Then there was ban on diclofenac sodium use in veterinary science in 2006 in India, Pakistan, Nepal, and 2010 in Bangladesh. Okay, so there are 8 vulture breeding centers that are available. So they maintain the birds in naturalistic aviaries, feeding the vultures carcasses which are free from diclofenac and other NACIDs, identifying breeding pairs and rearing the chicks. Okay, so this is a very old picture of me at the Vulture Conservation Breeding Center in probably the year 2005. I had a little more hair also on the head and it was black in color. So this is the captive holding and breeding facility. You can see this aviary, it is 100 feet long, 40 feet wide and 20 feet high. So only soaring is not possible over here, but all the other things, flap flying, nesting, perching, everything is available. And we keep it as naturalistic as possible. There is no human intervention whatsoever over here. So the vultures are not imprinted, they are wild. Okay. Then captive breeding. So the young ones are bred and they are fed and then they are released back into the colony aviaries. You can see the ringing has been done. So this is B43, a long-billed vulture. Okay, so this is to identify the birds. So you can ring them. We used to, microchip them also. We do microchipping also. And there is also a possibility of putting a wing tag as well. Okay, so the future is to be looked at. So the choice is ours. Whether we have a world without vultures, wherein carcasses are rotting, spreading diseases, dog population is increasing, or a world with vultures, wherein the environment is clean, neat, disease-free. That is what we need to look at. So as veterinarians, their survival is in our hands. Unsafe NACIDs we should stop using. And we should promote the use of proven vulture safe NACIDs. Okay, the next slides are education. So this is Dr. Kazwin and me at the standee exhibition that we had for the Zoroastrian community, especially Dr. Kazwin addressing the crowd at BNHS during the International Vulture Awareness Day, which is the first Saturday of September. Then that is me addressing LDOs in Maharashtra, talking about vulture conservation and what is happening. So this is a vulture picture created by school children in Tamil Nadu. So Bharti Dasan, working for Arulagam, they create wonderful ideas, puppet shows and lots of things, volleyball matches, motorcycle rallies for bringing awareness towards vulture conservation. So just last slide to acknowledge. I would acknowledge for creating this. Of course, my alma mater, Bombay Veterinary College, for supporting this work, saving Asia's vultures from extinction, ZSL, BNHS, RSPB, and now Himalaya, the current company that I work with. They are allowing me to carry on with my passion and go ahead and reach out to people like you about it. So that's it. I think I have taken 45 minutes, a little bit more than 45 minutes. I'm sorry if you were bored. If you have any questions, I'm very happy to answer them right now. Or if there is another schedule with the IVSA team, then that's not an issue. We can look at it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was very insightful. I think we'll be announcing the results now.
Okay. Do you want me to do that?
No. We'll have there's quite a bit of questions, so we'll just answer so that we don't break the flow. We'll just answer the questions and then announce the results.
Whatever you want. No issues.
Okay, sir. So I think the question that we all have is that how can we get involved in volunteering for vulture conservation?
Okay. Good. So that's the question, complete question. Yeah, got that. So one of the things is that what we need to do is we need to spread awareness about vultures. So as veterinarians, I think the simplest thing that we can do is get ourselves, get knowledgeable about what is actually ailing the vultures, how many NSAIDs have been proven toxic to vultures, and make sure that we don't use these NSAIDs in the treatment of cattle. So that is the simplest thing that we can do. If you want to go beyond that, talk to fellow veterinarians about the same, and I wouldn't say convince them, but enroll them in that possibility. That is second thing. That is what we are doing right now. That is what I'm doing as a veterinarian to fellow veterinarians. That's what my job is, right? What I have taken on is also to, provide services to the vulture conservation program. So actually, Madhur was like calling me desperately, like, you can join. But I was actually with a meeting with some senior veterinarians, avian veterinarians in India. Two of them, very good friends of mine from Mumbai, graduated with me or just after me or something like that. So I was in a conversation with them to how we can provide veterinary services to the vulture conservation program. So that is third. Fourth, what I'm looking at is I talk to people at any given point of time. I'm trying to get CSR funding for vultures. BNHS has, a program which is adopt endangered species. So if you go to the BNHS website, I can share it with IVSA group members, core committee members. They can share it with the whole group. So all they are requesting is 1,000 rupees you can, put in, and they will give you a pin, similar pin that I'm wearing right now. Okay. In which case it costs 50 rupees, but you can get 3 pins if you provide 1,000 rupees. So what the RSPB, Royal Society for Protection of Birds, did is they requested their members to give £1 towards vulture conservation. This was a long time ago, and they have 1 million members. So they actually, generated £1 million for the vulture project through their members. So you can become student members with the BNHS. You can find out what is happening. You can reach out to me anytime about what you want to know about vulture conservation and what you can do. Bharti Dasan, I mentioned, so he is such an energetic and powerful human being. So just to give you an example, he's not even a veterinarian. So what happened was diclofenac for veterinary use was banned, but multi-dose human vials were available. So 15, 30 ml doses were available. So veterinarians were just purchasing that and injecting that into the cattle. So he put in a petition in Madras High Court. He's from Coimbatore. He put in a petition in Madras High Court to ban the use of or manufacture of human multi-dose vials. And there was a lot of hue and cry. The pharmaceutical industry is very strong. So there was a lot of hue and cry. And looking at his passion, Bharati Dasan's passion, his lawyer also said, you are coming all the way from Coimbatore. I am sitting in Chennai. I will not take, my fees for this noble cause. And they won. So now multi-dose human vials are not available. So, the possibilities are endless. It's about what you want to do and what you can actually do and what you fix your mind on and you can do. Means these are just some of the things that I shared that came of my small thinking and brain, but I would not like you to limit yourself to that. I don't know what you can create. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we have a question in the chat box. They urinate on their feet. Is it only for cooling effect, or is there some other purpose behind it?
So no, they don't. So this is basically an adaptation of the new world vultures and storks. So they will defecate it, and that is predominantly thought of as a procedure to help cool down the blood vessels over there. So evaporative cooling. So birds don't sweat, and that is the reason why the birds will have a problem of heat stress. Means you are studying poultry, so you are experts in that about heat stress and why birds suffer from heat stress and the thermoregulatory zone and how it works and all of that. So with the gyp species of vultures, again it is estimated that the skin that is present on the neck, so it helps in even the conductive cooling kind of a thing. So it has been estimated that it allows the skin allows the bird to be the heat to be radiated away from the body. So when the bird is heated up, so when it is hot, the bird's neck will be extended, and many a times it will be sometimes it will be like pointing down. So it is actually thought that it is radiating the heat in the environment and cooling itself down. And when the bird is cold, then the skin, so even when we are cold, we will sit like this or something like that. And in summer, we want to lie down like this. So that is the whole idea about it. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I can see a question in, oh my God, there are a lot of questions. Okay. Yeah. So the next question is, does feeding on the dead contribute to the vultures' decreased population? I am guessing no. And so if they don't, how do they not catch diseases? So I think I have answered that question in the talk, right? Yeah, sorry Madhur or Runmay, I'm doing your job. Yeah. You can go ahead.
That's okay, sir. If you can...
Okay. So, or are there more specialties in them that prevent that from happening? Also, do they selectively feed on the dead? Yes, they do. As in, if they can detect some symptoms of diseases or not, and not eat carcasses that do carry diseases. No. So their system is wonderfully built. So it is found that they can digest up to 92 to 95% of whatever they eat. So the pH in their gut is so acidic that it will kill all the microorganisms. Okay, so that is why they don't get diseases. That's the short answer. If you want the long answer, and if the committee members allow me time, then we can have it later as well. Then there is, I heard that diclofenac, which is used to treat cattle, deposits in the bone of those animals, not in the bone of those animals, but in the muscle. So diclofenac gets so what happens is diclofenac is half-life is very short. So half-life, I'll just try to explain. If I inject, say, 100 milligrams of diclofenac in a cow, in 4.5 hours, it will become 50. In 4.5 hours, it will become 25. In another 4.5 hours, it will become 12.5. And that gets excreted. But if I inject diclofenac in a cow which is suffering from diseases, the metabolism is slow. So it gets retained in the body, not in the bones, but in the liver, the kidney, and in the muscles. And the birds will get that. Okay. And eggshells becoming thing of vultures because of diclofenac, I don't think that has been proven. So the theory was DDT. So use of DDT resulted in the reproductive loss of peregrine falcons, and that is why it was banned. So that is what it is. In what ways have vultures adapted to urbanization, if they have? So yeah, means it's not. So you saw the pictures of the buildings and all. So I think that answers your question. So yeah, Purnava says, okay, I got my answer. Not at all bored. This was amazing. Okay, fine. How did the harmful drugs reach the vultures in the wild? So they were, so as I said, diclofenac. So basically in 1990, Dr. Ramani Jairam has his thesis, and that has been published in our college itself. He has done the pharmacokinetics and dynamic study of diclofenac in buffalo cows. So, what happened was that the drug was introduced in the 1990s, early 1990s, and we have a resistance. We will not start using something at the point of go itself. So, it became popular later on. So I would say diclofenac is an abused drug. Why I would call it as an abused drug is that diclofenac predominantly is a musculoskeletal drug. So if there is a problem in muscle or skeleton, then it is to be used. But with cattle, it is a wonder drug. A cow which is not eating, it's sitting down, you inject diclofenac, she gets up, she starts eating. So it's a wonder drug, and the veterinarian looks like a god or a goddess. So that's why it became popular. It became popular for postpartum. It became popular for post-operative. It became popular as an antipyretic. So it's like an elixir. But unfortunately, it is causing problems in vultures. And that is one of the main reasons why it was very difficult to ban diclofenac, because you can only ban a drug if it is harmful to the target species. So it was created for cattle. It was not problematic in cattle, but it was creating problems in the vultures. And at that time, I think Manmohan Singh was the prime minister, and he took a stand in 2006 and said, no, we will ban it. And that's how it was banned. The problem of population decline in vultures anyway related to crows, rabbits. So it is toxic to Himalayan griffon, it is toxic to eagles, and they will die because of the toxicity. So again, what happens is that, we cannot, so there are 10,000 species or more of birds, and we cannot say that all behave the same way. So there are multiple papers which say that, they have 5 species of birds and 5 NSAIDs they have tested, and the metabolism in all the species of all the metabolites is not the same. All the NSAIDs is not the same. And it has been found or postulated that turkey vultures in America, or in the Americas, North America, and probably South America also, are kind of resistant to diclofenac. So they don't get affected by diclofenac. And how do we control the magnification of chemicals in vultures through the food chain? So we don't need magnification of these chemicals or diclofenac in the food chain. So a bird that can digest anthrax, 0.8 milligrams per kg of diclofenac is sufficient to kill the vulture. So it's like that. Yeah, then I believe even small quantities of the chemicals we use in our daily lives ends up in the local water bodies and eventually affects vultures. I don't think so, but it does affect wildlife, other wildlife. I don't think it affects vultures. There is no proof of that. But mercury toxicity and all from fish is something that is affecting human beings as well. So that is what it is. Yeah. Yeah, Mrunmai, any questions from YouTube? I think these were the questions.
So I think we have one question from our EXCO member. Why was Ajaneri selected as the conservation ground for vultures in Maharashtra? And what kind of terrain is needed for setting up a vulture conservation reserve?
What? Sorry, can you?
Anjaneri, sorry.
Anjane. Okay. So if you see,
Anjani,
so that is a place that was selected by, I think, SNM, Sayatri Nisarga Mitra, and I think there is also a gentleman called Prem Sagar Mistri who is working there. So they are doing their own thing over there. They are complementing the project, no doubt about it. But so why it was selected over there itself is that the people over there were proactive in it and they said that we will do this over here, and they have started something called as vulture restaurants for them, and they are protecting them. Okay, so Srivardhan, Anjane, all these places are there. So even long-billed vultures visit. So long-billed vultures come down from Pune district. They feed over here probably and go back. They were available in Pirangut and all those places, but they are, and that is not a that is in situ conservation. That is not ex situ conservation. So over there, I don't know. I don't have information, or according to my knowledge, there is nothing wherein there is like a breeding center or something like that. It is just a feeding center, and they take care of the vultures. They monitor them, and they do that. So the vultures are there, so they are doing in situ conservation. Short answer.
So, and will there be a difference in the behavior if they're bred in situ?
Bred in,
Like,
so
will that make a difference?
you are asking if there will be a behavioral difference if they are bred ex situ in captivity.
Yeah, again, yeah, right. Sorry, in cap.
Yeah. So what will so the plan is that now when we talk of releasing the vultures, we will first tag. So there are vulture safe zones that are being created, which are 100-kilometer radius areas. I think one is in Madhya Pradesh, one is in Assam, and one is coming up in Tamil Nadu for sure. And then there is another one coming up. Okay. And we are, I think Maharashtra is also trying for vulture safe zones and stuff like that. So the idea is that there are some of the vultures which have been trapped as adults. So when we release the vultures, we will release some of the adult vultures that have been trapped as adults from the wild. Number one. Number two is we will release the vultures where there is already existing population of vultures as well. Okay. So they will learn from the wild vultures. The vultures which have been bred in captivity, they will get organized, or they will learn, and they will, do whatever the wild vultures are doing or were doing. So that should not be a problem. And that is a model that has been tried and tested with the California condors as well. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you. I think that's it with the questions.
Any from YouTube? I don't know if there is any from YouTube.
I don't think there are questions on YouTube.
Okay, no problem.
So we can proceed to the result announcement.
So you want to share or give a brief about it or something like that, or I just go and
Um, okay, so we had basically organized, IBS in Mumbai had organized an essay competition, and the topic was behavioral effect on animals because of wildlife tourism. And we'll be announcing, Percy sir will be announcing the results now. So if the participants are present in the meeting,
We lost Madhur over there, I guess.
yes, hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So you can announce the
Yeah. So
winners.
thank you so much. Yeah. So as Madhur shared, the essay competition was about whether wildlife tourism is a good thing or a bad thing, boon or a bane. And there were quite a few entries that they received, and they siphoned out uh, many, and they made my job a little bit easier. And out of the ones that I had, it was quite interesting to read about it and gather the information. And I'm happy to announce that there are three positions for three prizes. So the third prize goes to Gauri S. Nair from first year. Is Gauri here? I don't know. If Gauri is here, Gauri Nair? No, I don't know. Then the second position goes to Makela. Yeah, right. And the first position goes to Bhavya.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, congratulations to all of you. Keep it up, uh, and all the best for the future as well. Just wanted to share my two piece on this, if I may, Brunmai.
Yeah, sure. Go on, sir.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. So, a lot of, or probably all of the essays that I received were talking about the harmful effects of, wildlife tourism as such, which is to a certain extent true, also not true. I don't know. But what I would like to put forth over here is that it is not only that you know wildlife tourism is bad. Now, what do we mean by that? Okay, so one second. Yeah. So there is this article that I would like to share with all of you. Again, it's available on the internet, and you can go through that. So this is from EarthMap. Okay. So this is a study that says, so Prerna Singh Bindra is a wonderful author, and she has authored a lot of books about wildlife conservation as well. So I highly recommend that you look her up over the internet and see some of her works as well. So it's a known fact that we can only conserve animals or the planet if the people who live with these animals and the forests want to conserve them. It's very nice for us to say, you should protect the leopards and you should protect the tigers and all of that, right? Because we are in our cities, we are lucky that we have leopards in our campus. Yeah. So why I'm saying we are lucky is that we have a wonderful chance of inhabiting the planet with these beautiful animals. We have a chance of living with them in their natural habitat. And they are allowing graciously, they are allowing us the space to do what we want to do without harming us. And what else do we need? Who wouldn't want to live? People spend thousands and lakhs of rupees to go to safaris and nature parks and stuff, and we have the biodiversity right next door. We are a part of it. And as soon as we understand that, the better it will be for us. Okay, so what these people did, okay, Last Wilderness Foundation. So what they found was that the children were having this negative attitude towards tigers, and whatever stories they had learned, were from their parents. Ki, "Arey, tigers will kill you. They are very harmful. They are aggressive. They are this. They are that," and all of that. So actually, at Bandhavgarh and stuff, they went and they created. So Bhavna Menon is also a very good friend. So they created this whole structure wherein the children of the buffer zones were taken into Bandhavgarh as tourists. Okay. And people in the cities were stupefied when they told them about the program. They didn't really see the sense in taking these children from the forest to see the tigers. An animal they'd probably come across many times in their lives. Okay. So when these children were taken inside, this is what their reaction was. That उसने तो कुछ भी नहीं किया. He didn't do anything to me. इतना सुंदर था. How beautiful it was. Right? And now these children who are the future of the country are having a positive attitude towards tigers, and this is something that we are looking at as something which is positive, and we should consider that that is what is very important. See, if the youth of India today, they don't stand up for conservation, I don't think that we will be able to conserve whatever natural resources and wildlife we have. Right? Yes, there are pros and there are cons also. I'm not saying that, that is not causing a problem. It is causing a problem. It is causing a problem maybe to an extent where even poaching is being, guided through that. Poachers also come to know. Poachers might also enter into the safari. They know where the tiger is, and then they will come in the night and do it. I don't know. It might be happening. It might not be happening. But we have to look at both the aspects. And very important, according to me, is that we should strike a balance. And the balance should be towards the positive side and not the negative side. And I would have been, elated to read if someone would have actually shared about, okay, these are the problems and these are the possible solutions that we should have. So as Dr. Ranade and his boss, Dr. Devpurkar, would tell us when we were in college, don't come to us with problems. If you come to us with problem, you are a problem. You come to me with solution. Right? So remember, solution is with us only. We have to create that solution. And whatever are the problems, we have to go beyond that. So just wanted to share that insight, because I thought that people were getting. I didn't want people to be negatively influenced by the material out there. right? So any of y'all, if you want to share something or you know uh, comment on it or want to have a discussion, we are open to it, not an issue.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for those insights also. Before we end, for the vote of thanks, we would like to have our Vice President Rihanna and President Komodwati.
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes.
Good evening. I am Rihanna Cherian, the Vice President of IBSA Mumbai. First of all, thank you so much, Percy, sir, for such an interesting lecture on vultures and their conservation. And of course, thank you to everyone who joined to listen. So, we'd always enjoyed your lectures in college, and we wanted to keep this IVSA webinar open to all students, even outside IVSA, so that they might also have the same captivating experience once again. As Madhur said, in addition to this talk, Percy sir was recently the judge of an essay competition that was held by IVSA Mumbai in November. The topic was behavioral changes in wild animals due to wildlife tourism, and that was a national level event. So we had received many responses from all over the country with a variety of writing styles and opinions. However, as Sir had said, there were some very interesting points and insights that he had been hoping to see. So thank you so much, sir, for that is some much needed counsel for all of us. The competition was intended to encourage practice of scientific writing, and even the winners, I'm sure, can learn from what you said. It was a very interesting topic, but indeed a bit difficult to write about without the expertise of an experienced doctor, and we're very lucky to have that today. So thank you again from my side. Our president is also here. Do you have anything to add, Kumud?
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. It's been wonderful to hear you speak on vulture conservation again. I remember the first time you held this webinar for us, and how I think I had called you after the webinar and bugged you for a while about how to volunteer and get involved and get my hands-on experience and all of that. So thank you so much. I don't have anything to add. Thank you, Rihanna. You've said everything I would have wanted to say. Thank you, sir, for agreeing to do this, for your time judging, and for your insights today as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so as I said to all of you, I am there for Bombay Veterinary College. Always, there is no doubt about it. I'm a part and parcel of it. I was sharing with some of my colleagues that I have spent nearly 50% of my life in Bombay Veterinary College as of now. Out of 42 years, 21 have gone in Bombay Veterinary College as a student, as a guest lecturer, as a teacher, as a whatever. So so it's an integral part of me. The students are an integral part of me, and we are colleagues. So I'm happy to have any kind of interactive session. I'm happy and elated to, not guide, but discuss things with students if they need. And I'm just a phone call away, so you can reach out anytime. Not an issue, not a problem. Okay. Thank you once again, and God bless you all. And if there is anything else, do let me know about it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. We are
Thank
looking
you, sir.
forward to meeting you soon.
Thank you,
as
sir.
well.
Yes.
We have a few mementos to present you with, and we're extremely thrilled that this is going to be an offline meeting. We'll have as many members from IVSM Mumbai present there as we can gather. They also have their exams going on currently.
Yeah, I'll be happy to come to Korean. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'd be very happy to meet you once
Thank you,
again.
sir.
Looking forward to
Thank you,
that.
sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.